wiser. This is Christy Bridges, and I have a special friend with me today, Dee Selby from Dee's Downsize and Clutter. Okay, so this year we have been talking about mental health, and I've introduced you to some really neat therapists who do different techniques. It might sound weird that I'm introducing you to Dee, who is not a psychological therapist, but let me tell you, the work she does makes a vast difference in your mental health. So, Dee, you kind of went through an experience that taught you how important it is to have help in decluttering your life, right? And you've since started a business where you help people implement just simple things that start to melt the clutter around them so that they don't accumulate more than they can handle and so that they can breathe better, just more relaxed, right? Tell me about what you do.
Well, since one of the things we're really focusing on is, mental health right now, and everybody seems to be talking about it, and there is a very fluid, dynamic relationship between the clutter in our lives and our mental health. Because clutter will, if it gets to be too much, it will create stress. It affects our ability to focus. If you're one of those people who has to clean your desk before you can work, then you know how focus is sometimes impacted by the clutter.
Yeah.
Clutter lets us procrastinate. And the perfectionism, well, I can't get it all done, or I can't do it just right because I still need some such and such. That procrastination comes in, and that plays a part. Believe it or not, clutter will also affect our impulse control. I mean, how many times have you looked at a mess and said, "Oh, I think I'll just have a bowl of popcorn and chill Netflix"?
Right.
You know,
Or, oh,
and
I need to run to the dollar store and get away from all of this, right?
that's right. That's right.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
and that kind of clutter, of course, it's messing with our own minds, but it also frustrates those who live with us.
Yeah.
And it eventually clutter will begin to affect just how you feel in general, and it gets worse. The clutter impact on your environment and all that gets worse as you get older. So what you could tolerate when you were 25 is not near as easy to tolerate when you're 65. And of course, by then we've accumulated 40 years worth of stuff. So, and while I'm not a LPC or anything like that, I have the idea behind what I do is to help people have more peaceful and productive living and working environments. And we do that by taking care of physical clutter. But the everything's all connected. So your physical clutter and your mental clutter and your emotional clutter, sometimes we touch on those things just because they're so connected to our stuff.
It's so true. So I'm going to pause right there and back up. You said that having clutter can actually encourage you to procrastinate, encourage you to, run away and do something that's not productive. And in general, even if we're not neat freaks, right? I am
Mhm.
not a neat freak. I dream of smooth surfaces and, gorgeous, magazine worthy rooms, but I don't live completely like that. But even if
No.
you're not a neat freak, there is something about clean space and order
Mhm.
that allows our brains to explore new ideas, to
Mhm.
focus on what we're trying to accomplish. When we are surrounded by stuff and everywhere we look, there's something, especially, something that isn't attractive and peaceful, but just
Mhm.
random mail, right? Something there's something inside of us that knows that our attention should be pulled in that direction. It should take care of this thing. It should take care of that thing. It's like a
Mhm.
million little babies calling to us, and it raises our underlying stress level.
Yeah, we
Um,
call it being nibbled to death by ducks.
Nibbled to death by ducks. Oh my gosh, that is perfect. And it, I guess in your line, you actually do run across where people have either they've become so stressed something has to be done, right? They become overwhelmed,
Mhm.
or where the clutter itself is a symptom of a deeper issue that hasn't been resolved, that hasn't been healed.
Most of my clients have experienced life events. Sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's just those normal triggers that people talk about.
Mhm.
Moving, somebody moves in, somebody moves out, they're remodeling their home, they um, need to repurpose a room or whatever. But what happens is you get one event after another, and they
Mhm.
don't have enough time to recover in
Yeah.
between. And all of a sudden, you're in a situation where you just can't even wiggle. You're like, I don't know where to start. And finding that place, sometimes I call it finding that first domino to push over. So
Yes.
coming in, having a fresh perspective, sometimes I can find that first domino that will let everything else just click, 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 click in place. And it's not instant. I mean, I'm not one of the TV shows that comes in and sends you off to the spa for 3 days and you come back and everything's done. I wish I could do that. But the problem with that is you can't throw away other people's stuff and you can't hide it from them either.
And you can't unbreak someone of years of
No.
habit by doing it for them, right? We
Well,
have to
and
learn
they have to learn
how to
and
address
but
it.
they have to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
It's not just that they have to learn how I do it. They have to be part of their solution, and everybody's idea of what's clutter and what's a way to deal with something is different, and it should be.
Mhm.
I tell a lot of my people, hey, you've got a system for doing this, and eventually it will probably stop working. We've all experienced it.
Yeah.
Now here comes the shift. The problem is not you. You are growing and dynamic and changing all the time. And a
Right.
system is static. So if
Mm.
we start looking at things like we can change the system instead of punish the person, then all
Mm.
of a sudden we're free to, takes a whole layer of guilt off of this doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
So that's,
And you said something. You can't just throw people's stuff away or hide it from them. And I remember in a family situation um, where some grandkids were trying to help a grandmother
Mhm.
because she had grown up in the Depression and was a
Save
compulsive
everything.
shopper. It's on sale. I've got to buy it. Oh, I need one of those. I guess I'll get two. And got to the point where it didn't even know what all was in the basement. And the kids started. They decided one weekend they were going to help grandma declutter, and they packed things up in boxes and they gave them away to different people and all that kind of stuff. She felt salted
Mhm, mhm,
when she realized, how much of her stuff was gone because she had emotional attachment
mhm.
and a security. This was her security blanket, and now people had just invaded and looted her home. Even
Mhm.
though they were trying to help, it was a very emotional, battering thing. And so
Yeah,
we do have to be careful. People have to be part of their own solution, and they
yeah.
go at the pace they're able to go.
Mhm.
But
Well, and
wow, does it make a difference to have somebody like you
yeah.
come in and go, hey, you
Well,
can do
and
this?
I tell people it doesn't happen overnight. It's not fast. It's like peeling the layers off of an onion.
Mhm.
Eventually you'll get down to where you really, really want to be.
Yeah.
But for now, let's do it the easy way. And
Mm.
people hate to think that somebody they don't know is going to come into their home and see their stuff.
Judge
But
them, right?
I tell people I won't let you I won't make you throw away anything,
Mhm.
and I won't let you throw away things if you're starting to glaze over, because then all of a sudden you look up and you go, what did I do with my, you know, 18 pairs of scissors or whatever it is? But because what happens, if you're really overwhelmed and then
Mhm.
you start to get a little paralyzed because you don't know where to start. And then you realize I've got attachments to everything. It's like, okay, but this was so and so's tape dispenser. This is
Great Aunt
grandma's.
Cherry. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like in Steve Martin's The Jerk. This is my glasses, and it's my mouse, and it's my so part of it is just getting to the point where you realize that our comfort, our safety and security is can't be transferred to our stuff. It's got to stay with our Savior. And
Yeah.
knowing that it's only stuff really does help.
Yeah. Knowing that I'm eternal and I'm not taking any of this stuff with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And even while I'm here, God is going to meet my every need
Mhm.
wherever He takes me. So powerful. So Dee, you actually do help people start with easy stuff.
Yes.
How do you do that? What is there anything that you can tell us that might make our lives easier?
Well, yeah. And let's see, where do we want to go? Now I have my little thing I want to show you later. You tell me when it's time to do that. But usually what I do when I go to someone's home, I go in and I say, okay, show me everything.
Yeah.
The room where you shoved all the stuff because you knew I was coming, show me that room too. Sometimes it's either, what's in your garage, and they're like, no. I said, I know we're not going to work on all of it,
Right.
but I see things that you've been looking at for so long, you don't see them anymore.
Yes.
So I had a client, and when I got there, what she wanted to work on was she wanted to clean out a linen closet in hopes that it would create space for spillover from stuff that was just stacked on the dining room and the kitchen. And we went in and we took everything out of that linen closet. A linen closet's a little bitty space. We took everything out. She pulled lots of stuff out that could be donated. I mean, she didn't go camping anymore. Why are we keeping those sleeping bags? And we ended up with this beautiful linen closet with no space for that other stuff. So we had a beautiful linen closet, but we didn't create space because we took an overpacked linen closet and turned it into a functional linen closet.
But how
So,
nice it is to do the laundry and open that door.
and it all fits. Yeah, it all fits.
So what'd
So,
you do?
well, we attacked the problem from a different angle, basically.
Yeah.
We the next time I came in, she'd thought about it more. I'll ask people, what's really bugging you? Or what will you not tackle if I'm not here? And that's a good one because people will like, well, I can do this and I can do this. And everybody's got that place where they just, no. And that's how I got started. I had my husband was a cancer patient, and he had been home on disability for 5 years.
Oof.
And he passed away kind of suddenly. I mean, we knew he was a cancer patient, but things happened all of a sudden, and he died. And so he had this workroom, and you had to walk through the workroom to get to the master bedroom. So I had to go past it every day. So I did fine, all things considered, with everything in that room except for one closet. And every time I'd open that closet door, seriously, I would open it up about that far and I'd look inside and say, close it again. It took me a year and a half before I finally decided I can't do this by myself. Called a friend of mine. I said, I don't know what I need. I don't know how you can help me, but I cannot do this by myself. And I have got to open up this closet door and get things started. So she came over, we opened the closet door all the way, we took everything out and put it on a set of shelves, and that was enough. That was enough. Then I figured out what am I going to do? If anybody hasn't heard, it was 20 disassembled sewing machines.
Oh
Okay.
man, what a treasure trove. Don't you want to keep them all and fix them up?
No.
No.
No. And all the parts were in little shoe boxes. And they weren't, it's like the shoe boxes were on bottom of the machine. So I didn't know which shoe box went to which machine. And everything was all taped up and ready to be painted and new decals put on. And so this is, by this time, I'm the breadwinner now. I'm
Yeah.
working full time or close enough to it. Um, and I just like, I don't know what to do. I ended
Yeah.
up trading somebody all those sewing machines for a year's worth of lawn care. And yeah,
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
it was such a blessing. But I figured out, okay, I'm an organized bear. My
Mhm.
mother would tell people that I was organizing before I could read
Mm.
because I would organize my grandmother's canned goods in the pantry by the pictures.
Oh, I love
So
it.
I'm a pretty organized person. I like, yeah, don't look at my floor. My floor's probably dirty, but everything's lined up. And when I figured out that somebody who's kind of gifted in that, being organized, and if I got overwhelmed, it had to be happening to other people. Yeah, there had to be
So
other
true.
people out there who were just lost because there was a closet full of disappointment and broken dreams and what's my future going to be and why did this happen in my past. And sometimes you got to have help. I mean, the Bible talks about how we should bear one another's burdens,
Yeah.
and I really feel like I have that natural gifting, and then finally started to get the realization that that's my passion and that's my calling, is to help people through those hard places so that they can have those peaceful and productive living and working environments that I talk about in my vision statement, in my mission statement.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a clean linen closet or an empty, scary closet, right? But I can see how, your husband had collected all these sewing machines and these parts, and he
Mhm.
had ideas for them.
Yeah.
And we can try to do things we're not gifted to do
Mhm.
because we know it's possible and somebody else has done it. And so why can't we, right? Free
Mhm.
stuff. Or we can say, you know what? I know what my gifting is and what my need is. And my need is not to have to walk by this closet all the time and feel like I should be responsible for it somehow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get somebody who is gifted in this way and has
Mhm.
the desire and time to take it, and I'll get
Mhm.
something that I actually need, like lawn care, right?
Right.
Um, Man, sometimes people, especially at my age, I've had so much that I've inherited from different
Mhm.
family members. And this stuff is precious to me because somebody thought it was precious,
Mhm.
and because it was precious to them. Or I've had friends, who've given me things and stuff. And I realized that I can't keep everything because when you keep everything, you don't notice anything,
Yeah,
right?
you keep your best and your favorite. Um, and I have this thing I tell people about, if there's a difference between an active mess and clutter. And
Yeah.
this, believe it or not, we'll get where I'm going with this. An active mess is a mess because you're constantly working in it. You're trying, when your desk gets messy when you're working and you leave it and come back to it the next day. So the test is if it has dust on it, it has become clutter. So, um, but we love our grandmothers. I mean, my grandmother's been gone a long time now, but if you have your grandmother's china or your mother's china and it's in a box in your garage or your attic,
Oh, are you
how
paying
is it?
storage for it?
Yeah, you're paying for storage. How is that honoring the memory of that person?
No.
You're better off pulling out a cup and a saucer because you used to have tea with your grandmother and keeping one cup and one saucer and making it part of a display or just using it.
Yeah.
And that way, until it breaks, you've honored that person every time you use the stuff. So
Mhm.
if it's in a box in the garage or the attic, you need to figure out if you really want it. I mean, do you really, and the memories are in us, it's not in the stuff. So if the china is the only
Yeah.
thing you have that is your grandmother's, then that makes more sense. But most of us have a mazillion things that belonged to that person.
Well, and I want to address that statement. A lot of people think this is all I have left. of someone.
Mhm.
Or they say, I've lost everything except this.
Mhm.
If you're still breathing, you
Mhm.
haven't lost everything.
You
And guess
still
what?
remember.
God can give you more.
Yeah,
And if this is all that you have left, that your person that you love physically touched, it's still not all you have left of that person.
right,
And things should be enjoyed. And if you're not personally enjoying them, let somebody else get a chance.
right.
Um, and if and then let's honor our person by carrying out the lessons they taught us, by revisiting the really neat moments with them, by letting their character influence us and their values influence us. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Dee, for pointing that out.
Well, it's just like talking about grandmother's china, right? My grandmother was one of those people, and my mom and I lived with my grandmother when I was the early parts of my growing up. And
Hmm.
my grandmother was one of those people, if you walked in the house, first thing she found out is if you were hungry or thirsty. Her gift of hospitality was defining of who she was.
Hmm.
And it's much more honoring to her and to God if I emulate that gift of hospitality and
Yes.
not worry about which dishes it happens on. So,
I like it. Now, you also were telling me earlier about letting go of part of your past, not necessarily stuff that belonged to other people, but stuff that you were once able to do, that you kept thinking, I'm going to get around to doing this again. And you finally realized, I'm really not.
yeah, I'm really not. You're talking about the cross stitch habit,
Yes.
right? I
Hmm.
used to love to do count and cross stitch. And then, of course, life changes. I got older. And now I have, 7 million pairs of glasses so that I can see to read, the small print.
Hmm.
And I had started a Christmas stocking for my husband. And I had some other things. I had the Ada cloth and all the, and finally, I realized my husband had been gone 4 or 5 years, and that Christmas stocking only had a little row of cross stitch on it. And I thought, I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later." Well, I finally figured out it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Now I have my own business. I'm getting older. The number of eyeglasses is getting more instead of less. And I I donated those things to an organization that took took them to people who used to do handwork all the time, and that's they could get at it fresh in the morning when they could see things.
Yeah.
So it's just a way. There's always somebody out there. Sometimes I call it the secret life of stuff. I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Secret Life of Pets. The owner leaves and all
Right.
the pets start talking to each other in English, and you
Mhm.
know what they're thinking and what's it. But we treat our stuff the same way. We think
We do.
we do. We think somebody can use this. And this says Smart Stand. I used to have one that said Brown Mackie College, which has been gone now for 7 or 8 years.
Mhm.
And it's like nobody wants a Brown Mackie College phone stand. Come on. But we think, okay, this still has a useful life. And
Mhm.
so we hang on to it thinking that, well, this is still useful. Well, it's useful for somebody else now.
Yeah.
And I try to encourage people to let the secret life of stuff, let things go, let things go. And
What was
there
that
are,
saying you had
oh, the
about
make,
not using it? Yeah,
oh,
what was
use it. No. Oh, come on.
oh, it was so good. You'll think of it.
Make it do or do without, use it up or throw it out.
Yes, make it
Yeah,
do or
use it up
do
or throw it
without, use it up or throw it out. If you're not using it, it's not useful, it's taking up space that you have to be responsible for.
out.
Oh,
Mhm.
I don't need
Yeah.
responsibility for something that's not even bringing value to my life, right?
Right, right,
Yeah.
and, they call it a store because that's where they store it for you, so you don't have to own it all at one time.
I love it. So,
But
yes, would you show us that wonderful system that, I think the biggest clutter problem that many of us have is we can't see our kitchen table or that entryway table,
A
or,
memorial paper.
we have the boxes. I at one point I had 3 Avon boxes of old mail that I needed to deal with that had piled up that I had just stuck in a closet when someone came to visit one time. Now it's been years since I did that, but seriously, we pile up so much
Paper.
junk, to do with later paper. So tell us how you take care of this.
Okay. Well, first of all, I will say that if I had superpowers, or I dream of genie powers, or whatever kind of powers it is, and I could solve one problem for every one of my clients, it would be paper,
Yes.
because we have so much paper coming in. And even, I mean, I'm ruthless with paper, and that's just, but it's happened over time. But we have so much paper coming in, and we feel like we have to look at it, or we feel like I know what's in there and I don't want to open it, that kind of thing, that we end up just covered with it. We've got stacks and
Right.
piles, and we've got filing cabinets stuffed full so nothing else goes in. And then it's just constant every day. You go to the mailbox, or you come home from work, or you come home from school, and you got paper, 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 paper. So I came up with this. This is the same, the client who had the linen closet. The next time I came in, we dealt with paper, because she had some of the things that had happened. She had 2 adult children that ended up moving back in with her at about the same time that her mother, who was in the beginning stages of dementia, all of her record keeping passed to this daughter. Okay.
Wow.
And she had she had some physical health issues, and she was just covered in paper. So
Yes.
we came up with this little mail center, and I've got a book in the works. I'm waiting for illustrations to come back. And right now the working title is The Not So Boring Illustrated Guide to Managing Your Paper. And one of the key components is the idea of this mail center. So here it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to show it to you.
All right.
All right. First things first. Okay, this little cute thing right here is
Oh, you probably got that from Burlington, didn't you? I like that.
I did not. I got this from Amazon.
Did you really?
But it was
Fantastic.
about $20, and you start out with 3 hanging file folders. You got to have 3, but you can have more. I picked pink ones. Okay. And the rule of thumb is when the basket is full, you have to do your filing. All right. So it
Okay.
allows people to, the idea that you have to do all your filing every time it comes in, that's crazy talk. You do your filing once a month.
Now, I do head to the shredder every time I bring the mail in. I
Right.
take everything I can and either shred it or put it in recycle right then, but there's always something left
Right.
over that I need to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm running out the door. So that's what your folders are for.
That's what my folders are for. And I'll tell you what the key ones are. Okay, here we go. So you need one folder here.
Mm-hmm.
That is for mail and incoming paperwork.
Okay.
And I love these little sticky notes that you can get from Amazon. They're by Post-it, and they're stiff, and you can use them to label things, and then you can move them around or whatever. So I love this. This is for mail.
Okay.
Any paper that comes in, even the sticky notes. Okay. So we got that one. The next folder is for action items. So anything you have to handle and do goes in this folder. That doesn't mean you're doing it. It means you're just changing it from, I opened the mail, I got to do something with this, I put it in this folder. The
Right.
next
So here's
folder,
the tax bill. Boom. There it goes.
next folder number 3. I love this folder. It's called Working and Waiting. That means you did whatever action you needed to do, but it's not done yet. You're waiting on somebody else to get back to you, or to find out more information, or to get stamps from the post office. Whatever it is, you're stuck until something else happens, goes in working and waiting. Then there's a folder where you put everything you're done with, and it's called filing. And that's where all the filing accumulates until it's time to do that. Now, those are you got to have those. Okay. The alternate folders. Now, if you are the type of person who likes that, you can just make a folder that says miscellaneous. I have known people to put in a folder for memorabilia because they have a lot of memorabilia that comes in the house, or they get cards, letters, invitations, whatever. So, say you get an invitation to a baby shower.
Right.
Okay. Guess where it goes first? It goes in the action folder because that means you need to go buy a card or a gift or something, right?
Yeah.
And then once it's in there and you've done what you're supposed to do, it can go into working and waiting because you might need to look at it to make sure you know the address and all that kind of stuff. And then
Or you could just
afterward,
use your phone calendar and
or
put
you
it
can
in.
use your phone calendar, but this is for, the people who are still paper
Right.
entrenched. Okay, so once the shower has come and gone, everything's over, you don't want to file it, right? So
No.
you have a folder that says memorabilia. And then when that folder is full, you take everything out and you say, okay, what of this do I really want to save? Am I really going to make the scrapbook? Am I really going to do the whatever? So it gives you a place for it to go so it's not mixed in with the bills and the appointment card to your doctor's office. It's got its own place. I also do
Mm-hmm.
that for things that need to be read. Some people will have a folder that they call reading, and it's not for books and magazines. It's for the loose pieces of paper that come in from the office. You look it over enough to know, okay, I don't need to do anything. I just need to read it. It goes in the reading folder.
Yep. Or that
So
email that somebody sent you with their
yeah,
whole last
yeah,
year's
all
worth of
those.
news. Yeah.
But it's a way. The thing is you have your little folder of mail and bits and pieces of paper. You get them in all the right places. You can walk away. You don't have to do something with every piece of paper right then. It's all contained right here, right now, and then you can walk away and come back to it when you can focus on that.
And it's not all over your table or
Mhm.
your desk.
It's not all over your table or your desk.
And it's not permanently stashed in some box that you'll look at 5 years from now and go, "Why did I keep all this junk?" I have discovered, memorabilia and reading, right? I
Mhm,
end up and even the action items, if it's not something that I had to pay this paycheck, right?
mhm.
I guess what? I'm gonna get another bill for it.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it's not something, not a life insurance policy I'm gonna buy today, then guess what? They're probably gonna send me another ad.
Yes.
And
Catalogs, oh my gosh.
yeah,
I tell people,
there's
if you keep the most current catalog, you can effectively throw the rest away because you can't make them stop sending you those catalogs. You can't make them stop. So
like
quit worrying about losing something.
and they probably have
Um,
a website.
and they probably have a website, right? All of those things. But it's like one of I have these different roles that people have in
Mhm.
relationship to their clutter. And one
Yeah,
of the ones I have recently discovered is the historian. Okay. People accumulate things
that's me.
because they have designated themselves the historian, hopefully just for their immediate family that live in their house. But a lot of times, that scope is bigger and bigger. One of my goals for 2023, I say with
Mhm.
shame, was to sort, organize, and digitize 3 generations of family pictures. Okay. Uh, that's
Wow.
huge.
That is
That's huge.
huge.
And here it is. It's the end of February. And I finally said, wait a minute. Who cares? My children are all unmarried. None are planning, well, one's married, but anyway, none of them are planning on having children. They don't know anybody past my parents. They know none of these people. They know
Mm,
none of the stories. There's no place for that to pass down. So I thought, all right, let's be a little bit more realistic about this. So now my goal is to go through and save the pictures that are of people I know and to get rid of any picture that's out of focus, the back of somebody's head. I mean, how many Christmas pictures do you have of somebody taking a picture and it's the back of everybody's head except for the
mhm.
2 people over there in the corner who are out of focus?
Yep.
No. Anyway, so um, I'm being much kinder to myself so that I won't have 20 boxes of photos. I
And
went through 5 boxes and I'm down to half a box of
Wow.
photos just by eliminating the stuff that would mean nothing to anybody who comes after me, at least on my side of the family. Now, I can pass stuff to other outside of my immediate family
Mhm.
for people who have children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. The family line is going to continue.
Yeah.
But it's such freedom. Oh my goodness, such freedom
Yes.
when I decided I am not the designated historian for the Lafferty clan of Oklahoma.
Right? And
So,
you have time now because you were gentle with yourself. You have time now to spend with living people who
mhm,
need you and whose lives can be enriched by you. I do I mean I still have my great grandpa's um one of his tax returns and I have my grandpa's house payment. I have a
yeah,
couple of things, but I kept like one copy of each of those and I know what they are.
right.
I like you, I had a bazillion pictures and I realized if nobody knows who somebody is, then I either need to find out who that person is and a story about them that I could
Mhm,
tell, or maybe that picture needs to go to an antique store where people are like,
right.
always looking at those things. But
Yeah,
I made a book for my grandpa of the identifiable people that he had told me stories about
yeah.
and some of their stuff. And that was a precious thing to do. But
Well,
do
and
I need to spend a whole year going through all
right.
those other people when I have people around me who need me now?
Mhm.
I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Well, and the thing about it is once you give that story, once you tell that story, that stuff is elevated out of stuff into part of the family history. It has, yeah, that's when it does have a life that continues. I know we're talking about those things. I was going through these pictures and whatever, and I found my great grandmother's marriage license. Okay, so
Oh,
we're in
that's awesome.
Oklahoma, right?
Uh-huh.
So this was a big deal. She got married in 1906 in Oklahoma Territory. So her
Ooh.
license was issued by Oklahoma Territory, not the state of Oklahoma. I thought that was pretty cool. That's something I will keep. I mean, that
We
makes
get
sense.
to
I will keep
choose.
that. We get to
Yeah.
choose. We don't have to keep it all. We need to be set free from that feeling of obligation to keep everything, to save everything, to store everything, to pass everything. It's just we're supposed to live our lives loving and caring for other people, showing people God's love by how we love them, not
Mhm.
by how much Tupperware we save or are the lids that don't go to anything.
Oh.
It doesn't. Yeah, just be free. Be free of those things. You don't need them anymore. So
I tell you what, Dee, I already feel better and motivated. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today. How can people find you?
probably the easiest way to find me is to go to my website. It's
Mhm.
of course www.deesdeclutter.com.
Dee's
And while
Declutter.
these declutter, and while you're there, I have a resource page that has, like getting started, 10 steps before you move, that kind of thing. So you can kind of see my philosophy behind some things. And then, of course, you can find contact information there. Call me, send me a text, and we'll just get started. Some people just need someone to listen to them say, my husband saves everything, and I'm mad about it. And
Right?
then you say, well, what is it? You're a team. He's done what he's compelled to do this. Is you're half of the team to help him find a way to make those things useful to other people.
Yeah.
You
You
know, it's
know, you had a book that you've already done that really helps us, I think, understand where our roles are. And even though the book wasn't designed around decluttering, sometimes we need to start with a little deeper stuff, right?
I happen
Why
to
am
have
I feeling responsible for somebody else and all this stuff? Yes,
yes, I
rethinking
happen to
roles,
have
goes, and optimization. Wait,
roles,
rethinking
goals, and
roles, goals.
obligations.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And the theory behind it is, especially women,
Mhm.
because we wear so many hats. Um, and especially as we age,
Mhm.
our obligations to our children is different when they're infants than when they're teenagers. Well, guess what? Eventually, even if they don't move out, they do grow up
Yep.
and your obligation changes. And if you're carrying around obligations that belong to another time in your life, then you have filled all your time up and there's no space in there for your own personal growth. You
Mm.
can't set goals and meet them because you're meeting goals that you outgrew
Oof. So
15
decluttering
years
your
ago.
time and your
Yeah.
responsibilities. You know what? We may have to get together and talk about that more because I think that's something even I still need a little bit of help with. So
And
yay.
this is on Kindle Unlimited. If anybody has Kindle, you can read it for free. Cheap, cheap, cheap.
Ooh, ooh,
It's just a
ooh.
little, it's a workbook. You can work through it and write in, okay, how much of this am I hanging on to? And, what am I still trying to do for my kids that they just need to be responsible for on their own?
Mhm.
It's like, when they're 10 or 12 years old, they can do their own laundry. And guess what? You're not obligated to, you know,
That's right.
I don't know. I used to let my daughter go to Walmart in a tutu, but, you know,
It
um,
was clean.
it was clean, and that was appropriate for a 3-year-old. Now,
Right.
if she was trying to do that at 16, then, yeah, maybe I failed, but she
But if
did
she
have
has to go in dirty socks because she didn't do her laundry, then that's a whole
right,
different story.
right, and nobody died from wearing a pair of socks 2 days in a row. It hasn't happened, you cannot convince me that it has, so
Oh man. All right. I appreciate you so much. Hey, if you are watching this or listening to this and you would like prayer, would you just let us know? If you need help getting started, making a dent in that linen closet or that scary closet you can only open 4 inches, Dee knows what that feels like and she's here
I
to
do.
help. So we are here for you. And God bless you as you continue this year taking care of your mental health. See you next time. Bye.